what we will talk about, what we have both seen, Dane, episode 3 of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight. And I'm gonna say I continue not to be confused, but I am like, I don't know what half of me is like, I don't know what's happening. The other half is, let's see where it goes. Like I'm it's not a disappointment kind of thing. It's like, okay, where we're going with this. And what were your thoughts for episode 3 of Moon Knight?
Episode 3 of Moon Knight. I thought we would get a little bit more detail, more background, just about why are we here? Like, why are we here now? But I think the last 3 episodes are going to save that for the meat of that. I don't know. But some of my suspicions were confirmed. We talked about last week. Spoiler alert. We talked about last week about the multiple personalities or the multiple characters played by Isaac. So maybe my suspicions are confirmed sooner than I thought about the potential third, but nothing concrete. Of course, right now all we have to go with is speculation. So yeah, I'll talk about that more as we get into it without saying too much. I've already said too much.
I think it was pretty cool how we see, like you mentioned, the multiple, like another aspect to the personality of this character, as well as, did you notice we've talked about so far if this show not only where is it set on the MCU timeline, but will we have any connection to anything that we know of the MCU now so far? And now in episode 3, spoiler alert, there was a mention of Madripoor. And if you've watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know Madripoor is a place. Can we call it a lawless land? It's
we can call it the black market.
It's a kind of a black marketplace where Bucky and Sam go with Zemo to try to, what were they going there for? I can't even remember off the top of my head.
To destroy the super soldier serum or something, maybe? Yes, or at least that's what Zemo was at. I believe so.
Yeah.
The scientist
and
dude.
So, like you mentioned, it's the black marketplace, and we are, the reason why I was mentioned in episode 3 of Moon Knight, we found out that Layla has had some visits there to Madripoor, and I didn't even know she was gonna have hands like that, bro. She was throwing down in some of them fights, which makes me think, I'm always gonna think, if somebody could throw hands, they finna be a hero or used to be a hero. Yeah, like she could turn into. I'm not familiar with all the Moon Knight characters, and you may have more knowledge on that. But she pulled the dang Moon Knight daggers off the necklace, which I'm assuming, or if like I said, I haven't really been into the comics of it, but the symbolism of the moon, and we know that Khonshu is the Moon Knight god. Yeah, the crescent. We know he's the Moon Knight god, and she has these necklace that resembles that, which makes me think that maybe in her family, because the episode starts out with her getting the passport, talking to this lady that I thought might be her mom, but I don't know if it was. But they mentioned her dad and how her dad was kind of an archaeologist, and kind of bringing her into the connection of everything that we have seen so far. And with her coming out and having those daggers and having that moon kind of connection to possibly Khonshu, that makes me think maybe her family and some kind of genealogy tree has some connection to Khonshu, which makes it even more. I feel like I know more than I thought now that I didn't know what's going on, which makes me think even more of her connection to Oscar, or excuse me, Stephen Grant, what's the other, Mark Spector kind of thing. We don't know where that connection kind of lies, but it's kind of making me go, So, that was an interesting thing to find out. And then at the end with Khonshu kind of sacrificing himself, in which we talked about in the first 2 episodes, Dane, how we kind of thought what Khonshu's intentions were, whether they're good or bad. And I think this episode, at least for me, kind of opened my eyes to Khonshu as more than a guy that's like I'm a god,
Right.
but he kind of
He cares.
sacrificed himself in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Realizing if he changed the weather again, he would be put on punishment for that by getting turned to stone, which would happen. But I think that was an interesting part, kind of seeing another aspect to his character. And then that part at the end was really cool. Now, I'm gonna ask
With
you this.
skies,
Yes.
manipulating the
So,
stars and the moons.
did we go back 2,000 years in the sky, or in in the history of the MCU?
I don't know. I think you can probably chop it up any way you want to, but we won't know for certain until episode 4. But theories, I'm all for hearing the theories about it, because when it was happening, I was like, wait a minute, because everyone else can see it around them. They obviously can see the stars in the skies and how that changes. But I wonder what the Watcher's role in this whole thing is. Like, how does he see that? And what authority, aside from the gods, obviously, the pantheon there, what authority is going to come knocking at the door, or authorities are going to come knocking at the door because of the manipulation of the skies again. So I don't know, but a few things for that episode for me. I'm gonna ask the question. We didn't get to this the first time, or I wasn't here, and plus I forgot to bring it up last time. But we know that Mark is married. We know that Steven is a hopeless romantic loser that is single. So, who was it that asked old girl on a date from the museum?
That's a good question.
Okay, cool. All right, here's another question for you. If Mark, the skilled, trained tactician of
I didn't even think about that
mercenary,
first one. Wow.
yeah, I got you. I'm gonna keep hitting you. The Mark, the skilled, trained tactician, precise killer, was not in control when those guys on the rooftop got beat down. And if it certainly wasn't Steve, we know Steven isn't capable of putting on such an ass
And they
whooping.
both said it wasn't them.
And they both said it wasn't them. Who the
was
hell was it? So going back to Khonshu knows something he's not telling either Mark or Steven. And that, to me, again, brings up another red flag about him and his intentions, whether he's intentionally trying to keep them in the dark about potentially, spoiler alert, a third personality, in which we know from the source material, the third personality, Jake Lockley. So I don't know, but again, this is the second question. Okay, is this who was doing all that? So I don't know, but hopefully we'll find out soon enough. And then 2, back to your point about the manipulation and whether or not we move forward in time or whatever the case may be. We might have some more connectivity to the MCU. So I don't know, from a time aspect, with Stephen Strange, whether or not that's going to happen. But obviously we can theorize and we can let our imagination run wild about what could possibly happen. But episode 4 is definitely going to tell us what we need to know.
Yeah. Dude, something else that just popped in my head, and when we were talking about MCU connectivity, I thought it was interesting when the gods took the avatars' bodies, right? And they started talking about how we don't manipulate with the humans, and we don't interfere. Something, right? That reminded me of Eternals, bro. Do you remember when they were talking?
Oh, yes.
How they don't interfere?
Yes.
That's not a coincidence to me. It was a similar line that was said in the Eternals about not interfering all these years because we weren't allowed to. And
well, this is the next phase, so maybe that might be a theme in terms of these.
Right. And how are these Egyptian gods connected to these eternal gods? That line, bro, that we can't interfere, we won't interfere. both said in Eternals and now in Moon Knight with these Egyptian gods.
And the Watcher said it too.
The Watcher said it too.
Not interfere. Yeah.
Interfere.
Until he did.
Until he did. I don't think that's
on.
I don't think that's an accident. I think that was purposely put there as that subtle connection. But hopefully we'll find out, what exactly the connection is later on in episode 4 and 5 and 6. We're halfway through Moon Knight, man. Incredible. I'm excited to see how it's going to finish.